probably not a very good, who the in this shit? Buzzer go off when we speak at every opportunity. See, when I tell a lie, the buzzer goes off. I'm Craig Stecyk and I lie for you. The custom culture movement goes on in spite of itself, and is evidenced by the fact that the show was brought together on, in a really quick period of time, much faster than museums normally work, and is being changed daily as things come to the proposition. It is, very encouraging for the culture as a whole. And there's some marble mausoleums that you could go to and see art from several thousand years ago, which is a worthy endeavor, but you're not sure that it really speaks to our current activity. There's a timeless, remarkable aspect to the sleight of hand and the conceptualization and whatnot. But once you've seen 100 Greek portrait busts, you've seen 1,000 Roman extensions, and you've seen a lot of bad garden furniture over the year with flying nymphs and whatnot. What are you going to look at? So you end up here on Main Street hanging out with the greasers and the surfers.
How is lowbrow, underground, unaccepted, known as kitsch art wind up in a museum, or not even a museum? How does it wind up influencing so many people, so many generations of really cool people and cool artists?
Having Paul Frank drop in your lap. I went to Paul's original show that he did, I attended Paul's original art action that took place in the Huntington Beach Art Center, which is Paul's hometown.
The draw to this show, Kustom Kulture II, is basically I want younger people and kids to see this kind of artwork. A lot of the original pieces, like the Surfite, Ed Roth custom car, and a lot of the artwork by various artists who invented that genre, or who were influenced by that genre. Because I feel like it's totally relevant now to what's all around us, with surf culture or even music or things like that. I think that it's just as relevant now as it was 20 years ago or 50 years ago.
It was at a time when nothing like that had ever been in a museum. There was, a lot of people, they've seen really cool shows in museums, but they didn't know that you couldn't always find that in a museum. You mostly found the same artists, the same older artists, the same artists doing the same thing over and over, just maybe slightly different. We saw it as Von Dutch as being like the grandfather of the movement, and Big Daddy Roth being the father of the movement, and Robert Williams being the son of the movement. And at that time, he was the guy that all the hip, cool new artists like the Piz and Coup and Frank Kozik and all these other guys just totally looked up to and idolized.
Like Ed Roth's artwork, I think that started organically as an accident. I read a story about that Rat Fink was like a joke. I think the story goes he drew it either on a napkin or a piece of paper, and he thought, what would the grotesque brother of Mickey Mouse look like? And that was pretty punk. It was probably like, oh, that darn Mickey Mouse is getting all the attention. I'm gonna make his gross brother, So it was like a little bit of rebellion. But, it's like kind of lighthearted too. I think he had a good sense of humor.
I was the original curator of Kustom Kulture in its first incarnation.
It's like the 20-year anniversary of Kustom Kulture. And you know how the older you get, the quicker the time goes by? I feel like, no way was that 20 years ago. I feel the same age. That could be like maybe 12 years ago at the most.
I was dragged into this through a cabal of other artists who decided they were going to have a 20th anniversary extension of the original show, and I was going to be involved, which I thought, being essentially pragmatic in my orientation and having been involved in a number of museum projects that never came to fruition, I thought this quite likely would not happen. So I was irresistibly drawn into it when the Huntington Beach Art Center said that they would do it, and Greg Escalante managed to get it funded from a consortium of like-minded individuals. So I had no choice. So civic betterment. I think the Huntington Beach Art Center is significant because there are very few towns, cities, states, governments at this point that are supporting art. So to see 1 million people coming to Huntington Beach over a 9-day period for the United States Open that are going to physically have the opportunity to see an art piece of this breadth and proposition, I think is an extraordinary opportunity.
By the trash can so I wouldn't forget it. Now I can forget it. So, did that ruin everything? Should we start?
No.
Oh, that's a good question. What was the question?
To have the precursors of the movement, you know, Walt Disney, Basil Wolverton, Zilkowsky, Walt Disney, Basil Wolverton, George Barris, who was a member of the original, you know, Triumvirate. That was probably not a very good, who the in this shit? Pardon me.